Okay, the next part is I filmed myself doing it, but it's done now. I blew that one. Okay, I'm still learning. You just have to fill in some interfacing because, you know, our interfacing ended here. And then you had to, in case I didn't show you, yeah, I think I showed the cutting off. And now we have our it ended up being 2+ inches that we'll be folding up to get our new hem. And we have some interfacing there on both sides, and we leave the seam. I tuck it under there. I remember we need access to this seam so that we can find our little slit we made, so we know how far up to fold. I believe it's right there. Yes, it's right there, and we can use that to sew things up. Okay, so next, and I went ahead and chalked our line that we created. You see that since I made the cut, you've lost some of that original guide that you had. But we haven't pressed that out or cut it out yet because we might still need it as a reference point. Okay, on we go. And now, time for the rubber to meet the road. All right, all of our places where we've made cuts, we made little snips, we'll go ahead and do the hard one first, because don't we like to get the hard stuff done first? Remember our point. Our point was here. We moved up 1.5 inches. Our point is now here. Now all you have to do is fold at the point. Make sure I'm at the point. Okay, and what I'm going to do to help myself is use the old line as a guide. I've got this point and it should be fine, but in order to double check it, I can make sure that the old line flows with itself. And I can do that. One way I can do it is to put a pin in that point and follow that fold up, and now turn it over and see if it all kind of goes. It does. Mostly it seems to go off just a smidge, but we're still in good shape. It might be that I need to change that, but I'm going to move on, because if you got this one right, this one should be pretty good. Now, if it's not, we'll know in a minute. Make sure I'm at that point. I can see it better on this side. Okay, it almost looks like something is off, but I'm going to put the pin through my chalk mark and see if it comes out matching up on the other side. See, it's off, so I do need to adjust something. It's off, so this needs to go that way a little. Find the point again. See, sometimes it just takes a couple moves. Now I'll go in from this side and see if we hit the mark. Yep, we're on the same parallel. We're in good shape. And this one looks much better too. So I am going to sew that, and we will have our tweaky little 45-degree angle point that everybody freaks out about. Okay, now I'm just going to stick a thumb inside all that mess and a finger in there, and I'm just going to pull it out. And this is a good time to have one of these things, and you can just tweak until you like your point. And all that is in there. We're probably going to cut some away, but I just wanted to show you. Look at that. Look at that. That is so super cool. Now we may have taken a couple stitches too far, and that's fine. Just to keep things flowing nice, we'll pop those stitches back out if we need to, or if we can. I didn't even do a reverse. That's a really good stitch. Yeah, just a little back out to ease it out. Okay, yeah, so see, here is your area that goes up into the sleeve where the buttons go. You can kind of see where the buttons used to be. The buttons will go right here on top. You can see where they used to be. There's a couple places where they used to be. They had their buttons sewn really close together, and it was like they were stacked on top of each other. I guess that maybe is a look. I don't really like it. Now, to get this, all I'm going to do is, there's my snip. I'm just going to pull everything away, fold everything up until my snip is right at the edge, and then I can go to the machine and just put a few stitches down through there. Sometimes people only go at the top. I go ahead and go most of the way down, just so that if a stitch pulls out, it has a whole lot more stitches to go before there would be an issue. Okay, now all you have to do is take this and turn it out, and look, there you are. There it's all smooth, very smooth. And so you've done this one with the angle, then you've moved over to this one, which was the underseam, remember. Now we're moving to this one that it actually goes underneath there, and this needs to be turned in. So all we do is find our little snip at the 2 and whatever inch that was. Connie forgets now. Just follow. That's why you make the snips. Because if you can't remember numbers, you make the snips. Just make the snips. So I'm going under. I'm going to sew that one. Yeah. Right. Now, you know, you can give a little snip there. It may not have been necessary, but sometimes with some fabrics, it's more necessary than others. So here we are. There's the last one. And you can use your pointer to get that one all tweaky as well. Nice, smooth. And now there we are. We are sewn up. There, that is all you have to do for a gentleman's jacket hem. Sleeve, shortening, done. Okay? My goodness, I might go in there and trim that bit. Well, let's pull it out and just see. It is a little bit much bulk in there. There's my old place. So yeah, you'd want to trim a little bit behind that if you could find scissors. Anyone else have that problem? Okay, yeah, I'm gonna trim. I'll leave some, but I'm gonna take it to about right there. Okay? All right, so then we're basically done, and we'll only have to steam things up a little bit and turn it the right side out, and then I'll show you about the buttons and putting the lining in place. Okay, when steaming it, I like to kind of make sure that from our old fold out to the new fold, we have the amount we want. 1.5 inches is working out. That one seems to be a tad less. You know what, though? I think it's fine. Yep. This one. I just like to play with it until everything looks smooth. And then I'll hit it with the steam. Yep. Okay. I just want to hit it on the inside a little bit, because we'll hit it from the outside again later, and just move our way around. Ironing, you know, I know that you know. Let's hit that corner. Ironing is, I don't know, 9/10 of the sewing law. You could say that. Oh yeah, that's looking crisp. Very, very, very nice. Okay, we are nearly done. You see, I have brought my lining out. I've held it at the shoulder and just let it naturally fall out. And this is what we have extra. And the original fold is still in there. So I'm just going to take some of that off because we don't need all of that. We're going to tuck this back at least that far. So we can cut it. I'm going to cut a good... We took it up 1.5 inches. You can cut the same amount off of the lining as you're taking the hem. If it's 1.5 inches hem, you can take 1.5 inches off the lining, because you just have to know that, you know, these numbers should all work out. Okay. It's a really dark day here, but I hope this light is working. All we have to do is put this stitch around here, stitching the lining to the inner layer of the jacket cuff. And that's all. We'll just go all the way around doing that. It's simple. You just go under, ride your needle under for about 1/4 inch and come back out. Just making sure that you never go through all layers. I know that can be tricky with something very thin, but if you've done stabilizer, your stabilizer should prevent you from going through. You just go under, ride your needle in between the layers, and come back out. It's such a cool stitch. I like the look. I just do. So, but if you want to do that tricky machine thing, you do you. I know some people are really into it, but I like to have more control. Like knowing I have more control. Manipulating everything myself. And I mean, I just think a stitch like that, it's, well, I mean, it's couture. In couture, I can't remember which designer it was. I was listening to them talk to him, and he's like, oh yeah, we got machines once. And he said we couldn't figure out how to work them, so we just went back to sewing everything by hand. If you know what couture means, that it means they sewed everything by hand. I've done it. I remember when I was at college, I really wanted this beautiful disco outfit, and I sewed that sucker by hand, every stitch. Woohoo! Then a schoolmate felt sorry for me and loaned me her sewing machine, which was fine. But in the meantime, I had made myself, I think, 2 disco outfits, all by hand. Anyway, there's where we're going, all the way around, and then I will sew buttons on.